It sure does sound that the Chicago Bears may have a big opportunity to upgrade a huge position of need. And today's episode of Keek on the Mic starts right now.
Cali the shot town is Bears on the flight. Let me go tune in to Keek on the mic. He gon' make sure we get our news and highlights. When you get on YouTube, you better hit the like.
Hey, what's going on, Bears fans? Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Keek on the Mic, the podcast all about the Chicago Bears. As always, if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the notification to catch all Bears content right here on the podcast. Bears fans, first and foremost, happy Saturday to every single one of you guys. We are only one day away until the Chicago Bears take on the Las Vegas Raiders. And at the end of today's episode of Keek on the Mic, I will do a quick little breakdown of that game versus the Raiders. There will be no Isaiah Fry on today's episode of Keek on the Mic, but I'll give you my final score prediction and just some key areas to break down as the Bears set to take on the Raiders tomorrow. So Bears fans, there's a couple of different things and just quick little updates and reports and rumors that I wanted to stress to you guys on today's episode of Keek on the Mic. As we all know, the Chicago Bears managed to save their season in a huge win over the Dallas Cowboys, which means if they're able to get another big win against the Las Vegas Raiders tomorrow, they'll find themselves at 2-2 at 500 going into the bye week. But I do know that general manager Ryan Poles and head coach Ben Johnson know that there is a lot of areas of need, a lot of weaknesses on this team if they do want to make a huge jump to maybe make a playoff push as soon as this season. One of those areas is definitely the running back position, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on today's episode of Keek on the Mic. Another big area of need is the edge rushing position. Of course, you have Montez Sweat. That's been uneven this season. Of course, you signed Dayo Odeyingbo to that massive contract in free agency, and he's also been very inconsistent and uneven. And of course, Grady Jarrett, another big free agent acquisition for the Bears this offseason, has also been very inconsistent. So when you're looking at the defensive line for the Chicago Bears and the pass rush for the Bears, it has been very inconsistent all season long. Of course, they've had a really good showing against the Dallas Cowboys, really had their way against Dak Prescott. 2 sacks, a couple of turnovers, a really good day for the Chicago Bears defense. So now it's time to possibly add to that unit to bring more of a consistent pass rush. And at this time of year, free agency is basically non-existent. All the guys that were on free agency that, Bears fans, including myself, were pounding the table for are now gone. Zadarius Smith, Jadeveon Clowney, among others. Now the Chicago Bears must look, if they do want to add to that position of need, via the trade market. And right now, when you're trying to look for a good impact player on the trade market, it can get kind of tricky because usually opposing teams are prone, to not trade their top guys despite their situations. But now it seems that there's some rumblings going up there in New York that Kayvon Thibodeau could possibly be available via trade, which is not too surprising because, for one, they're an 0-3 football team. Could possibly be 0-4 after this weekend's game. Of course, when you look at their situation over there in New York, of course, they have Brian Burns paying him big money, and then they just drafted Abdul Carter in this past NFL draft as well. So it's a very crowded defensive end room over there with the Giants. They did pick up Kayvon Thibodeau's 5th-year option, but once again, I'm not sure with the contract of Brian Burns and obviously drafting Abdul Carter if there's going to be enough money to pay a pass rusher like Kayvon Thibodeau. This could be a perfect opportunity for the Chicago Bears to maybe pounce on opportunity to get a young impact player in Thibodeau. This report actually came from Matt Lombardo, which is the insider of Between the Hash Marks. And this is the person that's been hearing a strong possibility of the New York Giants trading away Thibodeau. This is what he had to say, Bears fans. Said the Giants picked up Thibodeau's 5th-year option earlier this spring, but this might be the best opportunity to trade him if they believe he's more of a luxury at a loaded position than an asset on a roster that is thin on a team virtually everywhere else. So once again, we understand that Kayvon Thibodeau is a very good young player, still only 24 years old. He's 6'5", 285 pounds, had 11.5 sacks in 2023 during his rookie year. Kind of had a down year last year going into year 2, only had 5.5 sacks, but still had 17 quarterback hits. And then when you look at this season as well, he's had a strong start to the season with 2 sacks and 12 quarterback pressures. He is definitely a pass rusher that can take the Bears defensive line to the next level. But when you're looking inside to the New York Giants organization, just like Matt Lombardo said, he's a player that at this point is just a luxury instead of an asset. It's a loaded position. You have Brian Burns. You just drafted Abdul Carter to be your 2 main edge rushers. And you're looking at a guy in Thibodeau that's also a big-time young edge rusher, and they're not going to be able to afford to pay all 3 guys, and they have issues everywhere. There's a reason why the Giants are 0-3. Of course, they just benched Russell Wilson. Jackson Dart's going to get the start over there. So it makes sense for the Giants to maybe try to get a couple of picks to, spread out assets everywhere in different areas of need. So I definitely think the Chicago Bears should swoop in on the opportunity if this comes available nearing the trade deadline, especially if the Giants keep losing and the Chicago Bears keep winning. I think this would be a perfect opportunity to add a game-breaking edge rusher like Kayvon Thibodeau, and maybe that will make Dayo Odeyingbo and Montez Sweat's job a little bit easier. The biggest hurdle for the Chicago Bears is, we all understand that he would make this defense better. The biggest hurdle is going to be the money side of things. If you're trading for a guy like Kayvon Thibodeau, he's going to be looking for a long-term extension, right? And the Bears already have a lot of money tied down to Montez Sweat. They already have a lot of money tied down to Dayo Odeyingbo and Grady Jarrett as well. So Ben Johnson and Ryan Poles and the Bears organization would have to pull some strings to make this work in terms of financial, but I think this would be a home run hitter for the Bears organization. They definitely know they need some huge edge rushing help. And for the people that may comment down below and say, well, Keek, how about Austin Booker? Austin Booker had a really good preseason, but there's no guarantee that he's going to come and make a huge impact. Maybe that's what the Chicago Bears are waiting for until they make a move. If Austin Booker comes back and he looks really good, then we don't have to worry about this. But if Austin Booker comes out there and it's looking just mediocre and it's also inconsistent like Montez Sweat and Dayo Odeyingbo, then this is a move that I think the Chicago Bears must make as they near the trade deadline. So Bears fans, let me know down below in the comment section what you would do if you were in GM Ryan Poles' shoes or the Bears organization's shoes. Would you like the Bears to trade for a player like Kayvon Thibodeau? Let me know down below in the comment section. Bears fans, there's one other thing that I want to talk to you guys about before I give you guys a quick little game breakdown of the game against the Las Vegas Raiders. The Chicago Bears reportedly recently held a team meeting for an unexpected reason, and that unexpected reason was the lack of efficiency in terms of the running game. I think when you're looking up front, the blocking has been really good, but it seems that Kyle Monangai and DeAndre Swift are not taking full advantage of their opportunities. The Chicago Bears as a whole are middle of the pack in rushing offense. I believe like 15th in the National Football League, averaging a little over 3 yards per carry. But everyone knows how important it is to get the running game going. And apparently Ben Johnson called this meeting because they all understand that the running game has to get going if they want those explosive plays, if they want the Bears offense to take the next level. Caleb Williams, as a passer, has been absolutely electric. So just imagine if they're able to get the running game going a little bit more with their running backs. Of course, they've been creative with DJ Moore, with OZ Zaccheaus as well. But when we're looking at the running backs, Kyle Monangai and DeAndre Swift have had really, really tough sledding in trying to get the running game going. Declan Doyle, Bears offensive coordinator, actually talked a little bit about this meeting. This is what he had to say about it, Bears fans. Says, it's always been a point of emphasis for us, Doyle said. We want to create explosive plays. We can do that. We want to be able to do that through the pass game and the run game. But the run game is a huge part of what we do, building off of our runs into play action pass, into screens. And so in order to get that going, you have to be able to force teams to play downhill, one high safety, and defend you in the run game. Here's the interesting part about, getting the run game going. Just last game against the Dallas Cowboys, we were only averaging 2.9 yards per carry, but our passing game was still very effective. Luckily enough, we were playing a defense in the Dallas Cowboys you were able to take advantage of. But when you get to these tough defenses like the Green Bay Packers, right, some of the other high-end defense, maybe the San Francisco 49ers, you have to get the run game going in order to get those explosive plays downfield, play action, screens, hitting Roma Dunze deep, hitting Luther Burden deep. have to get the run game going. I think Ben Johnson and the Chicago Bears organization that, hey, we also may need to consider nearing the trade deadline to add another running back to this roster, especially if DeAndre Swift and Kyle Monangai can't get it going with the blocking up front, because this is going to really make our offense be stalled if we continue to have this lackluster running game, right? Because it seems that when we're on first down, second down, we're running the football because, of course, we're trying to establish the run. But it seems that more likely than not, we're going to be in third and long situations because our running backs are not taking advantage of the lanes that our offensive line is creating for them. So I'm glad that Ben Johnson reportedly had this meeting. We all know that Ben Johnson is a very transparent coach. So Bears fans, do you think the Bears will be able to get the run game going with DeAndre Swift and Kyle Monangai, or do you think it's just a lost cause at this point? Let me know down below in the comment section. So Bears fans, before I let you guys go on today's episode of Keek on the Mic, I want to give you just a quick rundown of this game against the Las Vegas Raiders. Of course, the Raiders are sitting at 1-2. The Chicago Bears are all sitting at 1-2. Vegas currently has the home team as a 1.5 point favorite. I think just giving them the home field advantage. Obviously, the Raiders are coming off a very, very tough game against the Washington Commanders. And then you look at the Chicago Bears, they're coming off a very big win against the Dallas Cowboys. So obviously the Raiders are looking to rebound under Pete Carroll. And then obviously the Bears are looking to, continue up that momentum, especially on the offensive side of the football, coming off that big win against the Dallas Cowboys. I think the big thing to look at here is just who is going to win in the trenches. What I'm hearing from Las Vegas Raiders fans is that they're having a tough time on the offensive line. Yes, the Raiders are 6th in passing yards, but the Raiders are also 30th in rushing yards. So the Raiders offensive line's had a tough time. Geno Smith has been sacked 12 times this season. But of course, when you look at the Chicago Bears defense, they're 28th in total yards allowed, 27th in passing yards, 26th in rushing yards, but they're also 2nd in third down percentage. So it seems like they're a bend but don't break type of defense. So for me, I'm looking at the Raiders offensive line versus the Bears defensive line. Which one of these weak units is going to win this battle? And I feel like the winner of that battle is going to have a good chance to win this football game. When you look at the Chicago Bears offense through 3 games, they're 12th in total yards, 9th in points, and 4th in third down percentage. I also been hearing from Raiders fans is that their defense is a bend but don't break unit. Ben Johnson and the Bears against the Dallas Cowboys are coming off a game where they had a 19-play, 76-yard drive that turned into a touchdown and took almost 10 minutes off the clock. So I know there's a lot of Raider fans that were talking to me prior to today's recording of this podcast, saying that's one of the things that they're worried about. So it's going to be an interesting game. I can definitely see Caleb Williams taking the next step. There's going to be opportunities against this Raiders defense. Obviously, you're dealing with Max Crosby. The big news this week is that we're going to be missing TJ Edwards and Darnell Wright. So that means Theo Benedict will probably be the starting right tackle for the Chicago Bears, with Audrey Trapillo finally being active on this roster. I know there's a lot of Bears fans kind of confused why Theo Benedict is starting in place of Audrey Trapillo, especially that's the reason why we drafted Audrey Trapillo in the second round in last year's NFL draft. But no, Theo Benedict looked really good when Darnell Wright went down in last week's win over the Dallas Cowboys. So I have all the trust in him, all the trust in Ben Johnson as well to put him in the best situations to succeed. But he will be dealing with Max Crosby. So that's obviously a big storyline going into tomorrow's game against the Raiders. But overall, I think there's a lot of advantages for Caleb Williams and the Bears offense to take the next step. I think, Geno Smith and the Raiders will also have the opportunity to maybe expose our defense, but hopefully our defense can build off the performance they had against the Las Vegas Raiders. It seems that Kyler Gordon may have a chance to play. He was limited in yesterday's practice. He is now questionable to play in tomorrow's game. I think if he plays and he is healthy enough to go, I think that could be a major boost for the Chicago Bears as well. But I actually have the Chicago Bears beating the Las Vegas Raiders tomorrow by a score of 30-23. I just think our offense can score more at a higher rate then Geno Smith and the Raiders will score on our defense, right? So have the Bears winning 30-23. So Bears fans, let me know your final prediction down below in the comment section. As you guys all know, I will be going live for tomorrow's game. I'll be going live at around 1:15 PST. As you guys know, I live in California. So make sure you guys come join the fun and get my candid reactions to the Bears versus Raiders. But other than that, Bears fans, make sure you guys continue to hit that subscribe button and the notification to catch all Bears content right here on the podcast. podcast. Make sure you follow me on all my social media platforms, and make sure you share this episode of Geek on the Mic with every single Bears fan that you know. But other than that, be back for an all-new Bears podcast right here on Geek on the Mic. Thanks, guys, and as always, bear down.
You ain't bout it, you ain't bout it, you ain't Geek on the Mic. You ain't bout it, you ain't bout it, you ain't Geek on the Mic.